Good evening and welcome to the meeting of the Committee on Faculty, Staff, and Administration. The agenda is a little bit different from the one that was, the order is a little bit different from the one that was sent to you in the mail in respect of a number of activities that are going on this evening. So we will move forward with item A. It's approval of the minutes of September 4th, 2007. May I have a motion for approval?
So move.
Second?
Second.
It's been moved and second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? The motion carries. Thank you. We'll now move to the policy calendar. Item number 1 will be presented by Interim Vice-Chancellor Gloria Waters.
Thank you. The item 1B5 is a resolution regarding the proposed revisions to the guidelines for the periodic review and assessment of the Chancellor and Presidents of the City University of New York. These new guidelines are a revision to the procedure that has been in place for several years. The current procedure has several aspects that are not considered optimal. There is a lengthy required periodic review interval of 5 years, a time-consuming, expensive external review team whose reports are frequently entirely complimentary, limited solicitation of campus views, a lengthy self-assessment that's very time-consuming for the presidents, and a lack of integration with the annual evaluation procedure. The modifications we are proposing are as follows. Each president will have a periodic review every 3 to 5 years at the Chancellor's discretion. An external review team will be used only at the Chancellor's discretion. Campus views on the President's performance will be solicited electronically and anonymously from a large number of campus members.
Excuse me, Madam Vice Chancellor, can everyone please take their BlackBerry or cell phone off the table? Thank you very much.
Didn't work.
Or shut your BlackBerry. If you shut the BlackBerry, because if you get a transmission into, that'll affect this as well.
Okay. As I was saying, the campus views on the President's performance will be solicited electronically and anonymously from a large number of campus members. The President will write a concise self-assessment focused on his or her performance during the last 3 to 5 years, as well as on personal goals. The annual evaluation data for several years since the President's last periodic review will be compiled, and the President's PMP evaluation during a periodic review year will be supplemented by the optional external review, the report on campus views, the President's response to the report, the President's focused self-assessment, and the data compiled. We are asking that this proposal be approved. The next step would be to bring it to the full board. We're looking for the committee's recommendation to bring it before the full board.
What point of information, please? This document that you're presenting is exactly the document that we received in the mail?
Except that we made the change regarding academic freedom. Under the academic leadership, the request to change the language to read academic support of the principles of academic freedom as opposed to sensitivity to academic freedom issues, that change was made.
Is that the only change?
That's the only change. Mm-hmm.
Are we ready for discussion? Yes, please. Ready for Continue discussion?
Mm-hmm.
With the discussion. Okay, well, I must have misunderstood, and I beg the indulgence of the committee. I was in conference with a number of people in the Chancellery via email yesterday, on the phone, and email today, and I believe that Chair Phillip was also in discussion. I had requested yesterday at a late date. I apologize for that. I had family issues and was therefore not able to look through the entire packet in advance of yesterday. Otherwise, I would have brought this to the attention of
the chair of the committee and the Vice-Chancellor earlier, but I didn't. I had requested a redlined version of the original guidelines that go back to 1977. Okay, the document that we received in the mail made no reference to the document in 1977. It just said in the resolution that the proposed amendments to the guidelines to the periodic review, you see it in front of you. Okay. The question obviously was for me, amendments to what? Obviously a policy that had preceded this. Okay. So yesterday, it being Sunday, right, I searched for that policy and I found it on the website, a 1977 policy. I printed it out. I tried to go through line by line. I did go through line by line, the old document and the new document. I should not have had to do that. I believe the committee should have had a red-line version of the original document. However, wanting to be prepared, I went through it line by line, and I found quite a number of changes, a couple of very significant changes. This afternoon, I did receive a red-lined document from the Vice-Chancellor. And the red-line document, number one, I believe it is. It's different from what we have here. Certain changes that were made in the red-line document do not appear in here. There are no amendments to vote on in this document that we all have in front of us. You can't vote on amendments if you don't have the amendments. It doesn't tell us here what's taken out, what's put in. And I mean, I can go further on the specifics about which I'm concerned were left out of this document. But procedurally, I mean, unless I am looking at the wrong things, which is possible after a very long day, or I misunderstood conversations prior to this meeting, which we initiated to try to avoid this kind of thing and have this go smoothly through the table. I mean, I would have to ask to table this to the next meeting. I mean, how can I vote? How can any of us vote in an informed manner if we do not know what the amendments are? And there are some serious changes in this document. And if you wish,
well, why don't you go through the changes that trouble you? And we
well,
can respond.
The problem is that I have a different document on which I'm going to indicate the changes. I have the red line document, which is the 1977 document. Unless every voting member of this committee and the rest of you have that red line document in front of you, how can I go through all the changes? It's impossible. You will not know what I am talking about.
I'm not sure I understand what you're saying when you say that you have a different version of the red line document. What was sent to you was the red line document from which the proposal was then culled. I mean, it's the original version that we worked from.
Right. Does the committee have the red line document?
No, not every member.
Does the committee have changes that were made in the red line document that I don't see in this version in front of me? For example, am I off base here? Okay. Let's go to...
Just a point of information, though, because you're indicating that you wanted a red line document. I mean, that would only be if, I mean, I don't need a red line document to consider these particular issues here. And so it's not a requirement that we have to have a red line document in order to consider revisions. Is that true or not?
That's very true.
I would say that's
Per-
true.
Perhaps I could.
Okay, then let me go through the changes.
Why don't you go through the
Let me
changes?
go through
because
the key changes.
I think even before you do that, Anne, I would point out to the committee that the document that you have in front of you could be looked at de novo because it is a totally different environment now, given that we have the PMP process that has been approved by this board from 2002. It is a very different platform that we use for evaluating presidents and administrators. So the document that you have in front of you builds on a board-approved policy creating the PMP, and that's essentially what you're looking at here. It has very little relevance, I would submit, to the original document that you referred to in 1977. So it would be very helpful if you just keep that in mind, because we're talking about something that the board approved as a foundation for making judgments about not only presidents, but all administrators in the university. So I think it would be helpful if you start with that as an operating premise, and then you have the kinds of issues that you'd like the board to consider because you think that certain things in the past were important that no longer fit into this, and perhaps we can respond to your satisfaction.
Okay, I can certainly do that. I must say that I disagree with you. When a resolution says that proposed amendments are being made to something, then I think we need to see the actual language of the amendments. But I will try to do this.
I think that is a legitimate criticism. Perhaps it just should be said a new approach to evaluating presidents.
Well,
and I
it's
think
a document.
if you look at it that
it's not
way,
an approach. It's a document. It's a document.
well, the approach
that
led to this particular
Okay. So why don't I go through what I have in front of me here are three things. I have the 1977 version of this policy. I also have the 1977 version of this policy, which Vice-Chancellor Waters very graciously emailed me in a red-lined version. However, the second version is not exactly. All right, let me say that. I'm sorry. Let me give you.
Difficulties with the policy
Yes,
statement.
I have difficulties.
So would you go through
Okay.
and articulate the
Okay,
policy
I will-
issues that you
I
have
will-
with the document?
I will go through them.
Thank you.
Okay. The major one is that in the original policy, under the criteria for the presidential evaluation, that begins on the bottom of page 2 of our document and goes up to page 3. The first thing is academic leadership. Very important, very well articulated. The next one is 2, administrative leadership.
I'm sorry,
Right,
point of
so
information.
what-
You said that, I just want to make sure I understand, what, you're objecting to the word academic leadership? What is the,
No.
what
I'm
is the
objecting
point?
to a section that's missing between academic leadership and administrative leadership.
And what
There's
is,
a section that was in the original document that has been removed that is a key section. It says commitment to research and scholarship. Commitment to research and scholarship was the second heading. It was a heading, number 2, academic leadership, number 1, academic leadership, number 2, commitment to research and scholarship, with a whole narrative. And I will read you the narrative.
No, I understand. So your issue now is that there's no section in this new document that speaks to commitment to research and scholarship?
And the financial support for it, and the
Okay, so-
reporting of
so-
all
It
of
Could
Could you
read,
speak to
could
that?
I read at the top of page 3, and academic leadership also includes the encouragement of research, scholarship, and creative activity, and each president is expected to demonstrate that encouragement by providing appropriate resources for its conduct.
Okay.
It's right there.
It's at the end of the academic leadership
Right at the
section.
top
Wait a
of the
minute.
page.
It's under academic leadership, I see it.
academic
Okay,
leadership.
all right.
It's the last sentence there.
Okay, all right. Is
Okay.
this,
So,
all right, well, what's missing there? Okay,
But
what's
it's
missing,
in there.
okay, go ahead.
what's missing there? What's missing there that was in the original document is a sentence that says, every 2 years, the presidents will report to the Board of Trustees, to the Chancellor, on the distribution of college overhead recovery funds. For the allocation of these funds is one significant measure of their support, the president's support, and commitment to research and scholarship.
Okay, so your issue here now is that there is an absence of a discussion about overhead. That's
Correct.
That's the issue.
Yeah,
Do
I
you have a
can
response?
answer that, but why don't,
Okay.
Alexa, you look like you want to say something about that.
Sorry.
Go ahead. Did you press the button that your thing's on? Okay.
Okay. That section, council felt that was very specific, a very specific measure for this document, and therefore left it out. However, that does not mean it does not still apply. That is found in the Board of Trustees minutes of 1979, December 17th, and that policy still holds.
This statement will go in the minutes of this meeting.
And we ask the president each year, forget about every 2 years, to give an accounting of all of the indirect cost recoveries received and how they are allocated for expenditure on the campuses. This is practice that has been institutionalized since I've been chancellor, and we have that. It is done yearly. And if you want to see it, or any of your constituencies want to see it, it's there for your review.
No, I appreciate that, and I didn't know that
So
because
could
it
you-
wasn't,
Okay,
wasn't in the
so
document.
that's, you said you had about 7, so that's 2. The
No, I
other-
didn't say 7.
Oh, I
I'm
apologize.
sorry, I mean,
The other items
I hope
that you-
I didn't say 7.
The other items? No, we just want to make sure that we cover all the items that you had.
Okay, the wording on academic freedom was changed, and I appreciate that. I have a question, and the question comes from the explanation as it relates to what's actually in the new document. And it's the third item in the explanation on the cover sheet. I am very glad to see the interest in as wide an input as possible from as many constituencies as possible. However, this third item refers to a specific, it seems to me, a specific survey instrument, using a qualitative survey instrument that has already been successfully piloted. I am not aware of what this instrument is, nor has anybody aware of it.
Let me see
And
if I can.
And why do we have only qualitative as opposed to quantitative?
Because the quantitative material that we have through the PMP is probably the most expansive database on measures of quantitative nature that this university has ever had in its history. And it is expansive, and it includes just about everything that is measurable. So I think we cover our bases there quite well. And as you know, when I sit with each president each year, we go through all of those data, and those data are available for review. This particular instrument expands on that particular set of data through qualitative prompts that are collected through a pilot program that we instituted at the law school this year. We asked the law school if they would like to be a beta test for this particular instrument, and it was tested and was reviewed The faculty and others at the law school were overwhelmingly supportive of it, and we think that it serves as a good complementary set of information that the PMP now applies, so that it was specifically designed not to give a yes-no answer or an answer on a larger scale, say a 5 or a 7-point scale, but really detailed qualitative assessments about the president's performance on a host set of indicators. So I think what we are proposing here is far more extensive and far more in-depth than we've ever had before. And that's the reason that it was done.
Can I follow up with 2 questions? One is,
Sure.
where is that specific survey referenced in the document?
The actual survey document?
Where is it referenced in the text of the guideline document that we're voting on today? Why it's in the explanation, I don't see it referenced.
Well, if it isn't referenced directly, then we can certainly do that. Lexa, do you have this specifically referenced, the actual survey document?
The suggestion for the revised policy just says that, comments on the president will be solicited anonymously.
Okay, so that's basically what the instrument is.
Yes.
Okay, so we can tighten that language.
Yeah,
if you like.
but even if it was referenced here, we have not seen that survey, we have not seen the results of it, and I'm sure you can understand that the faculty experts would have wanted to see that and the data before we vote on something at the table.
All this is a qualitative assessment on some key indicators. We'd be very happy to share that with you. Remember, the Faculty Senate survey is a survey about the administration. This is a specific assessment of presidential performance. It doesn't exist right now, and it is not a test that is normed to any kind of standard that we can do validity and reliability tests as if you had a different kind of survey. This is an open-ended assessment that every individual that chooses to participate can use in their own language, and something like that is not applicable to the usual test and measurement guidelines where you look for validity and reliability. It is absolutely not something that can be assessed on that particular level. The PMP, absolutely. This is an addition to it. And you could talk to, and we have some experts in this building that know this stuff, and not only myself, but Lexa and David Crook and others who are trained in this material will certainly make that assessment as well.
I appreciate that, Chancellor, but if this were if a document like this was going through my faculty senate, okay, we would have to see the specifics. You can understand that, I'm sure.
Be happy to show it to you.
But we're being asked to vote on it today, so I'm going to stop and just say that I obviously I don't want to vote no because there are some very good things in here, but I will have to abstain. And in the future, I would really request that we get red line documents so we know what we're voting on, that if it says amendments to be voted on, that we have amendments to vote on, and that the explanation jives with the language that's in the document. And again, I apologize to the committee. I was on the telephone and through email yesterday and a good part of today with a number of parties to try to avoid spending this time with the committee having to go through all these things. And I was under the understanding when I came to the table, I felt satisfied that my concerns had been dealt with. And I'm coming to the table, and unfortunately, they hadn't been.
Well, I think, and let me thank you for bringing these issues to the table, and I appreciate that. I would just suggest that, Madam Vice-Chancellor, and that as we look at this, rather than talking about it being an amendment to a 1977 document, that we look at it as a document that we have evaluated on the face of the document, that if we either approve or don't approve of. And furthermore, the final item that speaks to it, amending the PMP, if we could just talk about how effective, in my opinion, the PMP has been, and how this document just further enforces or gives the Chancellor the ability to use that PMP in a much more cost-effective manner. With regard to the actual tool of the survey, and correct me if I'm wrong, I'm not a statistician, but I would imagine that survey will grow and change as your needs grow and change, and so maybe as a exhibit or something, but to have it in the document that is approved at this point, I'm not comfortable with that, nor am I willing to say that we need to tie you down to a very specific survey or document. I think in general what this document is saying is that we're no longer using external people except when the Chancellor feels it necessary, that we are comfortable and feel very proud of the PMP process, and that we are now moving forward with implementing that and solidifying it as our process for our presidential review. And I asked the Vice-Chancellor if you could, prior to the board meeting, just expand your explanation to make that point clear, opposed to, because none of us have, nor do we intend, to review the 1977 document that, in my opinion, when I read this was a more of an enforcement document, allowing the PMP process to be more effective. If I got that right, I appreciate it. If I did not, love clarification.
Madam Chair, I'd like to call the question, please.
Madam speak to this
Mr.
question?
Phillip had,
I've not had a chance to speak yet,
please.
I think the intent of the faculty is to be very, very favorable to this, and there have been preliminary discussions about this for quite some time. As a procedural matter, however, it would have been very helpful had this document been provided earlier, had it been provided in the form that Professor Friedman would have preferred to have it. This committee meeting would have gone smoothly with hardly any comment had that happened, I believe. Yet the absence of the appropriate format in the presentation creates enormous difficulties that are completely unnecessary. Most of this discussion is not necessary.
And I appreciate the conversation, and I don't think we did. We tried to stop the conversation, and we appreciate you bringing it forward.
If I may
Please.
continue, please. At the same time, I've almost lost my train of thought now. At the same time, there were some substantive issues which, as Professor Friedman indicated, I had thought had been worked out. In particular, the issue of overhead recovery funds, we had thought had been worked out, and yet when this was missing in the document that was presented here at the table, it was a significant surprise. So it does mean that the document itself, the proposals themselves should be, it could have been handled better on the other side of the table, if I may use that phrase. At the same time, we're very favorable for this process and favorable for the changes. So the difficulties and the frictions that have come about here are completely unnecessary. Yes, even if this is a new document, one has to refer to the pre-existing policy to see what changes are involved. It doesn't matter what the title is. The two do need to be compared. No matter how you spin the title or how you change it, they have to be taken as what the changes are. And the title is quite accurate. These are revisions. Okay. And it should have been presented as changes with brackets, underlines, strikeouts, and so forth, at least in a preliminary way to the members before the meeting. It doesn't have to be presented in that way at the meeting. So it's unfortunate, and I'd rather have committee meetings do smoothly, and especially since the intent was along that this is a favorable process.
Well, I hope we have addressed the issues, and if I recall them, it was commitment to research, which we said was in the document, and overhead is there, and academic freedom. If there were other issues that were to be, I think we addressed them, and if you need additional information.
One more, if I could make one more comment. The instrument that is to be used, of course, going forward in the future should be constructed with faculty input. And I think that's a principle that we would agree on. Is that correct?
Absolutely.
Thank you. And that would go in the minutes.
Just a word about redlining. It is often very useful, particularly when the revisions are modest in scope. But in cases where there's a very, very substantial rewriting of a document, redlining is often more confusing than helpful, and it is a common procedure in legislatures and other places that do this. When you reach a point where a document is being substantially revised, all they do for the redlining is they strike the entire prior bill, or in this case, the prior resolution, and then they add the new one.
And that's exactly what was done.
And that's in effect
And
what's
that's exactly
happened
what
here.
was done here.
I mean, it's a judgment call. I mean, we usually redline things, but it's a judgment call in every case. And this one was such a substantial rewrite that it's understandable that it was not redlined. But having said that, I'll show you how to use a document comparison software. I'll be happy to share my office's software with you. So in the future, if you wish to, in cases where it isn't done for this reason, we can help you do it.
Nicholas, and then that's it. Nicholas?
Madam Chair, if I can address my question to the Chancellor. Going back to since we've been discussing this survey as one of Professor Friedman's concerns, what was the method used at the law school for soliciting this campus input?
Alexa, do you want to?
Sure. Every member of the law school, every employee, I should say, and all the student leaders received an email asking them to participate. And if they wished to participate, they were given a username and password to go to a website where they could go there multiple times, write whatever they wanted, and then indicate that they were finished. And at that time, the information was submitted to the database, but without the email address of the person who had sent it.
Did it include the username?
No. They're completely
It's anonymous,
anonymous.
totally
Completely anonymous. An outside company was used to manage the database for this reason.
I'll make it brief, please. I just wanted to share that this was vetted with the presidents, and they were supportive of the document, and they felt that it was far more compatible with and more useful. The results would be more useful to us.
Thank you. There being no more questions, may I call for the vote? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions?
Abstention.
No, you made the record. The resolution passes. Thank you very much. We'll now move on to the resolutions. We're going to ask President Jennifer Robb to come forward first because she has a distinctive honor tonight. So would you move a resolution regarding the establishment of the Susan and David Burchard Chief Curator and Professor of Fine Arts at Hunter College?
It was a result of a $1 million gift from David and Susan Burchard. Susan is a very loyal alum, a member of our foundation, head of our nominating committee, and it was to establish a position for the director of our arts gallery and a professor at our art department, and it was established in 2005, and there was just a little delay in moving it through the process, but we have received most of the $1 million now on scheduled pledge payments.
Thank you. May I have a motion for approval?
So moved.
Second? Second?
Second.
It's been moved and second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? The motion carries. Thank you very much. Resolution regarding the establishment of the Bertha Cabin Reynolds Professorship at Hunter College.
This is another named professorship, this one done on a spend-down account. The donor just asked to remain anonymous, and we asked the social work professor to choose someone that she admired, and she chose Bertha Cabin Reynolds, who is a distinguished social worker and legal leader in the field of social justice, and it was used to make sure that we retained one of our most productive and really esteemed social work professors who was being recruited away from us.
Thank you very much. May I have a motion for approval?
So moved.
Second? It's been moved and second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? The motion carries. Thank you very much. And finally, the third resolution?
Is the Rosalind S. Yallow Scholar, similarly a named professorship done through a spend down from discretionary funds that we raised, and we asked a professor, again, was at risk of being recruited away, and he also chose a distinguished scholar in his field who happens to be an alum, one of the two women at Hunter College that has won a Nobel Prize for medicine, something we think we are the only school in the world to have that distinction. So David Foster chose to become the Rosalind S. Yallow Scholar in molecular biology.
Thank you. May I have a motion for approval?
So moved.
Second.
Second has been moved in second. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed? Abstention? The motion carries. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for your consideration.
President Gregory Williams. Move forward with your resolution regarding the establishment of the Dean Peace Professorship at the City College of New York.
Thank you, Trustee Beal. We're seeking approval of the board and committee to establish a Dean Peace Professorship at City College. One of our distinguished graduates, Bert Brodsky, is supporting the establishment of this professorship. Dean Peace was a faculty and an administrator at City College during his tenure there, and he feels very strongly about Dean Peace and wanted to establish a professorship in his name.
Thank you very much. May I have a motion for approval?
So moved.
Second has been moved in second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? The motion carries. Thank you very much. Item 6 on the agenda has been withdrawn. We now move to item 7. Is there someone here from Lehman College?
There she is.
Thank you very much.
Madam Chair, point of information. Have we skipped item 6?
It's been withdrawn.
Oh, thank you.
Lehman College is requesting approval for the naming of a library resource center within the speech clinic in the speech and theater building for the speech language pathology students in the name of Posman, Maxine and Eugene Posman.
Thank you very much. May I have a motion for approval?
So moved.
Second.
Moved in second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? The motion carries. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
And the Graduate Center.
Professor Devitt?
So I seek the approval of the board for the establishment of the Saul Kripke Center to further the study of the work of Saul Kripke, who is one of the world's foremost philosophers and who has a vast amount of unpublished work which we wish to archive and move toward publication. And we wish, of course, to put on conferences and such matters to further the study of his work.
Thank you. May I have a motion for approval?
So moved.
Moved in second?
Second.
It's been moved in second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? The motion carries. Thank you very much.
It's a great center for the graduate school. Great center.
Thank you.
Great. Mr. Jack Riley.
Yes, there are 3 items under C. The first is promotion of Kitty Bateman to the position of associate professor at Queensboro Community College because she does not have a PhD or waivers required. She's been a faculty member at QCC for 35 years. She has a master's degree in educational psychology. Besides her longtime service to the college, she has a strong record in grant acquisition totaling more than $3 million. Her most recent project, the Queens Civic Collaboration of CUNY, was recognized regionally and nationally as an effective program for blending the teaching of English language skills to recent non-English speaking immigrants. At QCC, she was coordinator of the GED program. At the university level, she was for several years the chairperson of the Milani Scholarship Fund. The next one is the appointment of Jacqueline Mary Nichols to the position of assistant professor of nursing. This is a bit unusual. She was appointed as assistant professor of nursing with an equivalency in 1999. She was given tenure in 2004, and then in 2005, she resigned her position for family reasons. BNCC wants to reappoint her since it's a new appointment, and a waiver of bylaw 62C is required since she's not being appointed to the rank of professor. The past year, she was assistant professor of nursing at East Stroudsburg University. She has considerable experience in her field, and she's received awards and recognition. And the third was the appointment of Randall LaSalle to the position of associate professor at John Jay College. Again, it's a waiver of bylaw 62C. He was previously a tenured associate professor at Westchester University of Pennsylvania. He's taught at the college level for the past 24 years. He has a PhD in accounting from Drexel University. He's published 11 articles working on a textbook, was on editorial boards, and a member of the board of reviewers for various journals.
Thank you very much. We'll now move on to the information items.
Okay, as I mentioned once before, since this meeting is running long, and these are information items, do you want to skip that, or do you want me to go through them quickly?
I believe, do they require a vote?
No. They don't require a vote.
Then I will assume that everyone can read them on their own. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Oh, I did just want to say one thing on the information items. Under D and E, it says reappointment with early tenure, section 62C. It's 62D of the bylaws. That's all. Just a minor.
Thank you. And thank you, everyone, for your ability to read with the other appointments. I'm sorry. If there are any questions on any of these, please feel free to bring them to our attention. Are there any questions about any of the appointments? There being none, we'll now have the report of the Vice-Chancellor.
And my report is very brief. There are 10 actions in the ECP. Below the level of Vice President, you have the list of names in front of you. And there are 2 bylaw waivers for HEO appointments for the lack of baccalaureate. They are also have been given to you, so you have them in front of you. That's it for my report.
Are there any other questions about any of the appointments? Any other questions about any of the other items on the agenda? There being none, can I have a motion for adjournment?
So moved.
Second? Anybody left?
Second.
Been moved and second, and the meeting is adjourned. Thank you very much for your time and attention. Thank you.